Hey guys, this is Top, finally here with a video on an awesome bunker engineer build that one of my guildmates Barrow came up with. It utilizes 3 different utility kits and has amazing survivability and control. My version of its build focuses on the survivability and uses condition damage through the Shaman's Amulet, whereas his uses the Cleric's Amulet for more healing and power. Now, even though I have a decent amount of condition damage on my gear, I still use the rifle for its low cooldown control options through the net shot and overload shot. Here you can see that I've come up to the henge, which is the blue team's only base, and is being defended by this lone warrior. I set up my big bomb right behind it and wait till right before it goes off to use the overload shot. This chains the 2 launches together, shooting him out of the node. I chain that into a net shot right as the knockdown ends to maximize the amount of time that he's outside of the node and push the capture towards the neutral. Fortunately for me, he starts panicking a bit since I've capped it to this point, and he pops Endured Pain, which makes him invulnerable, but it does seem to keep him from counting towards contesting the point, and I'm able to neutralize it without waiting for a second overcharge shot. At this point, one of his allies comes into the node, and my goal shifts from simply controlling the warrior out of the node to me staying mostly in it to keep it neutral while my team earns a point advantage. So I go ahead and I drop a couple bombs before shifting to the elixir gun to drop a super elixir. Since I have the kit refinement trait, it also drops a super elixir upon equipping the elixir gun, so I'm double stacking the 2 fields for lots of extra healing. Now between those 2 fields and the regeneration boon I have rolling, I'm getting back about 700 health per second. So the basic idea when trying to survive like this is to cycle through my kits, employing things like the glue bomb and smoke bomb from the bomb kit, as well as a box of nails from the toolkit to slow down my enemies as I dodge around and wait for my healing cooldown, such as the bandages to cycle back. Now I can dodge quite a bit since whenever I equip a kit I gain vigor for 5 seconds on a 5-second cooldown, and I'm constantly switching kits. Now while I'm doing this, I can continue to apply some damage pressure on my enemies through the firing concussive bombs, and if I feel safe, the pry bar and fumigate. These conditions probably won't kill any good player on their own, but they at least discourage the enemy from staying on me too much, and in some cases can get the enemy low enough that when I do get reinforcements that my team can clean them up from a damaged state. Anyway, I have a pretty good run here against up to 3 enemies lasting about a minute till I get caught by an immobilize and a wave of blue revives flood into the henge, and then I go down. Now here's another fun clip. I'm trying to hold the red team's close node as a few of their players come back to defend it. I start off quite defensive against these 2 before realizing how low their direct damage is against my roughly 3000 armor. At that point I decided to try and deal a bit more damage to the scepter and focus the elementalist. Now, as I said before, you probably won't actually be able to kill an enemy with this build since the damage output is pretty low, but you can still put up semi-decent damage against opponents who insist on staying on top of you. The firebomb is decent sustain damage against nearby enemies, and a combo that can surprise some players is to chain a concussive bomb into a pry bar. With that, you've got 8 stacks of confusion on your enemy at once, and they'll take pretty significant damage with whatever skills they use. Now, if you play a little bit better than I do here, you can use things like overcharge shot to interrupt a heal when you do manage to get someone low, but even that will only buy you a little bit of time. Your goal should really just be to get them low and let someone else sweep in and clean them up while you control the node. A 1v1 is a bit easier to manage offensively since you probably could spend some time spamming tranquilizer darts from the elixir gun, which applies a decent length bleed between the bomb cooldowns, but it's a little bit harder in the 2v1 where you want to apply more AoE damage. At some point I get a bit low and I do have to get a bit defensive again, but it's really not until the other 3 red team members show up that I actually go down. You can see that I have the trait that gives you an automatic elixir S when you get to 25% health. This is handy because you can still re-equip your medkit and start laying down bandages while you're invulnerable, which helps quite a bit. Honestly though, I'd prefer to have the automated response trait, which is supposed to make you immune to conditions below 25% health. Unfortunately, as of when I'm making this video, the trait's bugged and it doesn't do anything, so until they fix that, elixir S it is. Now, this last clip is from one of the tourney games I played with my guildmates a few days back. Our composition was pretty hilarious with 2 bunker engineers, my condition variant and Barrow's power one, a mesmer, thief, and a warrior. Now it worked quite well because both of us engineers are so tanky and had great control, whereas our other 3 members were playing very glassy damage builds. So here we're in a 3v3 in the middle node of Fire, and I'm starting off dropping bombs and the super elixir field to try and help mitigate damage on Captain Marshmallow, our fearless warrior. His whirlwind cuts down their warrior, and I go ahead and I lay down Fumigate on the down warrior for poison to help mitigate against the Guardian's revive while Barrow stomps him. The Guardian also goes down afterwards, so I go ahead and I drop a concussive bomb, and when I see that we're going to get the kill, I switch back to my rifle to get the fire stack of Sigil of Superior Life. Unfortunately, you have to have the rifle equipped when an enemy is killed to get credit for that. Now, after that, the Necromancer tries to flee as we're getting pelted by this engineer's grenades, but a quick net shot holds him still for a second, and then he uses his place signet to transfer that over to the warrior. At this point, I'm again trying to focus on healing Captain Marshmallow to keep him up, so I drop some super elixirs on the ground and try to get between him and this engineer to body tank some shots, as well as drop a big bomb to CC them in a second. Now, I try to fumigate off Marshmallow's conditions again, but it's too late and he goes down. One of their engineers dropped a big bomb as we go for the revive, and Barrow and I managed to barely get Marshmallow up before it goes off, and I evade it. After that, our other damaged allies show up, and we're able to clean up the enemies. So the build is quite fun and pretty strong, I think. It definitely has one of the higher learning curves of the builds I've played with all the kits, but once you get the muscle memory down, it performs quite solidly. You just have to keep in mind what your role is. You're there to support your allies and help control your enemies with some CC pressure and light damage while staying alive. If you can buy time against multiple enemies for your team to either show up or do something nice elsewhere on the map, then you're contributing. Conditions are definitely still one of the biggest weaknesses of the build, with only the antidote from the medkit or combos from the super elixir field to really remove any. That said, I found that as long as you're pretty proactive with dropping lots of antidotes and using the bandages and healing when you can get by alright, and that's even with automated response broken. I haven't tried it with it working yet. The thing I probably love most about the build is its ability to actually cap an enemy point as a bunker build. My Armancer Elementalist can be pretty tough to remove from a point that I already control, but this engineer can jump onto an enemy control point and quickly neutralize it between a well-aimed overcharge shot and net shot combo, or even just a solid big bomb. Against some enemies without knockbacks of their own, you can continue to do that over and over and slowly cap the node from them even while they're around. Alright, thanks for watching the video. I know I've been inactive lately, and many apologies for that. I'm just trying to get life in order and all that. I've got some footage shot already for a Conditioned Warrior build that I like, and we'll start working on that video next. And then I'm thinking about another Necro build video. I'm also scheduled to guest on Gamebreaker TV's Buildcast again on October 17th, so be sure to check that out too. Thanks again.